Great, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the final day of the NJCAA Summer Seminar. Today's session will cover a demonstrated use of NJCAA Connect by Michael Orokos. For those of you who were unable to join us for the first 2 days, all of the previous webinars can be viewed on demand on NJCAA Connect by logging in and visiting the 2020 Summer Seminar page on under the Championship and Events tab. There's on-demand recordings from all of Tuesday's sessions, as well as a registration link to access yesterday's required eligibility and compliance session. That session is required for all NJCAA athletic directors and eligibility officers. So you will be able to complete the requirement by going again to the NJCAA Connect, logging in, visiting the Summer Seminar page under the Championship and Events tab. That requirement should be completed by ADs and eligibility officers by September 15th of this year. As I mentioned, today's session will cover NJCAA Connect, and Michael Orokos will be walking through various things in Connect: eligibility, letters of intent, creating accounts, managing contacts. So at this time, I will turn it over to Michael, and then I believe that Jeff White will be joining us also.
Thank you, Mackenzie, and thank you everyone for joining us again today for the Connect demonstration. For those of you that don't recognize my voice, my name is Jeff White, and I'm Chief Legal Counsel of the NJCAA and Executive Director of the NJCAA. Before I turn things over to Michael Orokos for the demonstrations, I wanted to take a moment to address yesterday's attempted demonstration. To say we were disappointed and embarrassed by the performance is an understatement. Many of you on today's webinar participated in the testing, the focus groups, and the one-on-one sessions for Connect automated processes leading up to yesterday, and I think saw firsthand the improvements in the product. Obviously, yesterday was a big setback. So I wanted to make two things clear. First, we will not accept substandard performance of the product. The load times of the pages yesterday was simply unacceptable. The panel issues with the college profile page was unacceptable, and the incorrect calculation of the eligibility rule was unacceptable. I can tell you that we immediately addressed those issues with the vendor, and they, of course, have taken steps to address it, but I don't expect that to give you any comfort or confidence in the product. I know you've heard this before. Secondly, we're prepared to do what is necessary if this product does not perform as it should today. We've spent countless hours working with the vendors to get the product where it needs to be. As you can imagine, we would not have volunteered to conduct a live demonstration yesterday and today if we had not gone through months of testing and received assurances from the vendors that the product is working. It goes without saying, we've spent the days and minutes leading up to yesterday's session and today's session reconfirming everything has worked. All this to say, excuse me, I understand my words likely ring hollow for many of you, and rightfully so. You just want a product that works. Rest assured, we agree with you, and we're going to do what's necessary to ensure you receive the support you need from all NJCAA products and staff. I'm going to turn it over here to Michael Orokos in just a second for today's demonstration. He's going to start with reviewing the Connect resources page, which some of you may have seen, many of you probably have not. This page will provide you with all of the how-to guides you need to complete any process in Connect. There are how-to videos, there are step-by-step procedures that literally start with log in here, and also job aids that have that same procedure, but with screenshots of what it looks like. So all that said, it's not necessary to log in and follow along today. Yesterday, we had over 330 individuals logged in simultaneously clicking the same pages. So it's not out of the question that we're going to have hundreds logged in at the same time using this product, but it's not likely that everyone will be clicking on the same pages at exactly the same time. So again, that is in no way meant to be an excuse or a justification for yesterday's performance, but I just want to make sure that everyone's focused on just following along as best you can and using those resources rather than literally clicking through at the same time. With that, I'll turn it over to Michael, but I'll say this, obviously if you have questions or anything throughout, Michael's going to do his best to address those as we go, but there's a Q&A session scheduled for the end to address any questions that come up. Go ahead, Michael.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to welcome you to the Connect demonstration for this year's summer seminar. Thank you for taking your time today to be on this call. I believe it will be beneficial for all of us. Today, I'll be demonstrating the process of Connect. And if we come across any issues in the system, I will show you the best ways of dealing with them. If you ever come across an issue in Connect, please send in a ticket to me with a screenshot and a detailed description of the problem. If you can, please try to hold off on any questions until the Q&A session at the end. Thank you. So to get started, I'm just going to share my screen. So Jeff mentioned the resource page. So to access that, you just have to hover over membership and then click on My Resources. You do not have to be logged in to access this page. One of the reasons why is because it gives you the instructions on first-time user signing in. But you see for this membership renewal aspect of it, you can click on here and it'll take you to the video tutorial. Down here, you have a screenshot step-by-step or the job aid to where it would download onto your computer as a PDF. It'll give you each step in a screenshot format. Below that are the written downloadable step-by-steps, which also appear here. As you see, we have them from each thing that you could be doing within Connect. And that's kind of where, if you ever have an issue or don't remember how to do a process, you can come here and create that. So for example, you can click on eligibility. And it'll take you to the same thing with a similar video, step-by-step, screenshots, and then written step-by-steps. So the next thing I'm going to go over are membership renewals. So to access the renewal page, first things first, you have to be a company administrator, which I'll get to that later with what exactly that means. But I'm going to click on my name in the top right-hand corner.
And so, Michael, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, this is after you've already logged in, correct?
Yes. So once you log in, that's when you'll have the ability to click on your name in the top right-hand corner. So when I click on my name, it will take me here, which is my profile page. The next step is to go to my college profile page, which you can do by either clicking on your college name that will be located below your name, or clicking on the blue box to the right. So when I do that, it will take me to my college profile page. So this is your college profile page. To access your membership renewals, you're going to have this icon to the right where it says Renew Now. So we'll click on that button. From here, you're going to select the sports that you'll be participating in. I'm just going to select a few. You're going to scroll down and you're going to select your payment type. You can either select check or credit card. Keep in mind, if you select a credit card, there is a 3.5 credit card convenience fee that is added to your membership renewal. I'm going to select check, and then I'm going to click next. Once you're on this page, this is where you'll be able to select the coach associations that you would like to participate in. You notice there are a few coach associations that are charging you $0. That is just for this year, where they're waiving their fees. So with that being said, I will select a couple coach associations. Once I do that, I can scroll down here and I can click on Add to Cart. So one of the things with the term dates is currently working on to get that fixed, but I'm going to click on remove these. There we go. So then from here, I'm going to click finish. So right now, if I filled out everything and clicked add to cart, this would be generating where I can add the, where I'd be able to add the credit card information. Let's see here. Click on this. So this account was already renewed, and that's why that issue is popping up. But when you get on the second page, which showed the cart, there would be a part to where you would click on, if you're selecting check, it would be invoice pay by check. You'd select that option, and then you'd be able to submit. Now, because I can't, or because it's already gone through, the area where you would locate an open invoice, you would have to go back to your college profile page. So I'm going to click on my name on the top right-hand corner. And I'm going to click on the Go to Summer Seminar Test College Profile. From there, whenever you're on a college profile page, you need to find an open invoice. You can do so by clicking on Transactions. Once I do that, if I have an open invoice, it will be displayed here. And it will show an invoice number, and that's where you can click on it to open up that invoice to be able to download it or print it off. You also can do the same thing by clicking print invoice at the bottom. When I click on this, because I don't have an open invoice, it's not going to show an entire invoice. It will show a brief image of what it would kind of look like. So like this, whenever you're pulling up reports like this, if you click on the red Adobe box, that's where you can download the document. And I'll also demonstrate that later in eligibility. So that's where you can go to find any open invoices and download, save them, or print them off. So the next part that I want to go through would be adding staff accounts and properly filling out their information. So I'm going to start on the home page. And so what I'm going to do when it comes to your staff accounts is you always have to go back to your college profile page. So I'm going to click on my name in the top right-hand corner. And then from there, I will click on the name or the college name right here, or yet again, the blue box here. So when I do so, I'll be back at the college profile page. Next up would be to click on contacts. When I click on contact, it's gonna display 3 new tabs. One's gonna be all contacts, one's gonna be school personnel, and the other one is gonna be students. So the button I need to click on to create a staff account would be this add contact, only add school personnel. That button will only show under all contacts, and it's always at the top here. When I do so, it will take me to an add group member page to where I will be able to fill in the first name, last name, and the email. So I'm going to create a fake account. As you see, organization's already filled in. And then I'm going to add their email. And when I do that, let me just fix that. I'm going to click on save. And then the next page that's going to pop up is a page to where I can add someone as a company administrator. Now, if I'm creating a staff account and I do not need them to be a company administrator, I can simply click on close. But if I do want to add them as a company administrator, I will click on add new. When I do that, this page will pop up, as you see, for the name of the staff member. I only have one selection, which is company administrator. You can put in a title if you would like. And then from there, I can click on save and close. When I click on save and close, this page will disappear and it'll take me back to the all contacts page. So you see here, July 16th fake. Next to it is member, coach, and company administrator. What I want to do is I want to click on their name, and it's going to take me to their profile page. When I'm on their profile page, there's two things I want to do at this point. I want to change their member type, and I want to add a role. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. I'm going to click the pencil icon next to permissions. So the reason why the member type is listed as student athlete is that whenever an account is created, the default member type is student athlete. So whenever you create a staff account, that needs to be changed. So when I click on student athlete, it's going to give me this list. I want to select school personnel. So when I select that, now I want to add a role. So if you're adding someone as a company administrator, essentially there's three aspects to making sure that they'll have the permissions that you want. First things first is they need to be a company administrator. The second part is you need to make sure the member type is school personnel. And then the last part is making sure a role is filled out. If you leave the role as none, they will not have they won't have the permissions to do with what you want. So within that, you have three roles you can select. Each role gives you a different permission. So athletic staff gives you the ability to create accounts, create eligibility, and create letters of intent, but they cannot sign off on eligibility or letters of intent. If they're listed as an athletic director, then they'll be able to create accounts, create eligibility, create letters of intent, and also sign and issue those as well. And then if they're listed as a president, then there would be the third signature on the letter of intent. So, for example, for this account, let's say they're a coach, but I also want them to have the ability to sign off on my eligibility. I'm going to select them as an athletic director. And now I'm going to click save. So once I do that, the next part that I need to do is fill out the information to what their job actually is. So I'm going to scroll down, I'm going to go to staff information, and I'm going to click the pencil icon here. So what I want to do is I want to fill in their staff position, and then if they're a coach, the sports coach. So for example, for this individual, I'm going to select them as a designated rep and also a head coach. And I'm going to list them as my men's baseball coach. So the reason why this is important is so then on our side, we know who the actual athletic director is. And then also for the sports coach, if we're ever needing to send an email out to just baseball coaches, when we pull the information on the back end of the website, if they don't have their sports coach filled out, their email will not be pulled in that report to send that email. But then from there, I'm going to click Save. So now this account is complete. They have the permissions to create eligibility, sign off on eligibility, create letters of intent, and sign off on letters of intent. Now, the only thing that this person has to do when it comes to their first time signing in is when they get to the Connect page, they're going to click Sign In the top right-hand corner, and they're going to want to click on Forgot Username, put in their email that's associated to this account, click Submit, and then click Forgot Password, put their email in, and click Submit. And that will trigger 2 emails to go to them. The reasoning why, if you notice in that entire process, there's not a point to where I created their username or created their password. So that's where, when they're doing that forgot username, it's moving the email to being in their username part of the account. And then the forgot password email will send them a link to where it will let them set up their password. And I'll demonstrate that later when we're going over letters of intent. So now, let's say I have this individual and they no longer need to be a company administrator. So what I'm going to want to do is I want to go back to that contact page. So I'm going to click on my name in the top right-hand corner, take me back to my profile page, and then I'm going to click on the blue box here to go to my college profile page. Once I'm here, I'm going to click on Contacts. And then what I'm going to want to do is I want to find their name, so July 16 fake. And I'm going to click on Member Coach Company Administrator. When I do that, if you remember when I was first creating the profile page or this account, it takes me back to the page where I originally added them as a company administrator. The difference right now, because they are a company administrator, it's listing company administrator right here, and it doesn't have the Add New button. So I want to remove them as a company administrator. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this X button right here. Now I'll click on OK. Then this page will disappear. And then now when I look at the account, July 16 fake, it just says member. So on the flip side, if I have an account already created and I wanted to add them as a company administrator, where I would do that would be I'd click on member. So I have a few questions I'm going to go ahead and answer. The first one is, do you advise coaches to be company admins? It really depends on the school. Some schools that I've talked to have wanted their coaches to have those permissions, some haven't. If you do, just so then they could help out with either creating accounts or with eligibility, that's where you could have them as that role as athletic staff. So then they wouldn't be able to sign off on it. But it's really a school by school basis if you want them to have those permissions. Another one is for member type for a coach, we put what? Yeah, I'd stick with the athletic staff, just so then it gives you that ability to just to create those rosters. And LOIs, so the other question is, LOIs can be signed by designated reps. Can you add that person for LOIs? Yes, you can. You would want them to be listed as with the role of athletic director. So I'm just going to X out of here. I'm going to go back to this profile page. So right now, this person that I'm going to isn't a company administrator, but I can still kind of show you with what I mean. So because they have the role of athletic director with also being a company administrator, they would be able to sign off on LOIs. And then in staff positions, that's where you would list them as a designated rep. So with doing that, then they would be able to complete the process of signing off on LOIs. So to go back to adding an account to be a company administrator. So what I'll do is I'll go back to contacts. I would find the name and I click on member. So whenever you click on member, it will take you back to that page to add them as one. So theoretically, I'd click on add new. And then it takes me back to this page where we were when we were first creating this account. So I'm not going to add them as a company administrator this time. I'm just going to click on close. Now, let's say July 16 fake is moving on. They're going to a different school, or for whatever reason, they're no longer coaching with my university. What I'm going to do is, so I come back to contacts and all contacts. So there's two ways of removing these accounts. So you can always click on member, and the same way how we removed company administrator, you can do that on this page where you could click the red X next to member. Or if I go back to their profile, when it takes me back to the profile page, I can click the pencil icon next to their name. And when looking at this page, there's a few things that you can do. This is also the same place to where you can edit their first name, middle name, or last name. But down here in this primary organization box, I can simply remove this and then click save and close. And then they'll no longer be associated with my college. So you see the college name underneath here disappeared. If I go back to my contacts list, so I'm clicking on my name in the top right-hand corner, I'm going to click on the college name box. Then go back to contacts. You'll see that July 16 fake is no longer there. And then same thing if I go to school personnel. I go to school personnel, they would not be, well, this one's students, they will not be showing. So I have another question. What happens when students show up in college staff list? So if that's the case, you would want to find their name, and you're going to want to click on their name to go to their profile. So for example, I'll do summer student 1. So right now, summer student 1 is showing in the students list, but that would be a member type issue. If they're showing under school personnel, then their member type is probably listed as school personnel. So what we would do is we come back down here and we'd want to change that member type to student athlete. Whenever you have either a staff account or a school account showing up under the wrong list, it's most likely that member type. So that just needs to be changed, which can be changed on their profile. And so the next part that I'm going to go over is how to add student accounts. So I'm going to start on the home page. So there's two places to add student accounts for eligibility. You can either hover over eligibility and create student accounts, or you can access it on the eligibility page. So where that's located is you can click on eligibility, click on review eligibility, and be under student does not exist. You click on create account. Both of these take you to the same page. So when I do that, I'd fill out this information. And then the most important box is this member college box. So the way it's designed right now is if I start typing in my school name, only my school name will appear in the dropdown. So I recommend still selecting it from this dropdown. And the reasoning why is because this is what ties the account to my college profile. So if this is put in wrong, then the student won't appear on my contacts. So for example, if I started typing this in and I forgot the E at the very end and just went ahead and submitted, it will not show up. So I recommend first starting to type in your school name, and then as soon as it appears in the dropdown, select it there. And then I'm going to put in your email. And then I will come down here and put in a password. Now, what you might notice from creating this student account compared to the staff account is that I'm actually creating the username and password. So this student would not have to do the forgot username, forgot password to sign in for the first time. We'll already be creating that, so you can just give that information to the student and they can sign in right away. So once I fill in this information, I'm gonna click on save. Once I do that, it's going to take me to the demographic page. Do female, so I'll start filling out this information. And you come down here, you can select with a first generation college student. Do you know the interest area of study? You can fill that out as well. Any career interests, and then what sport or sports that they're interested in. This, when you fill it out, would be searchable under the eligibility page. I'm going to select men's basketball. Then from there, I can click next. And then it takes me to this page to where I can either return to eligibility or add another student. I'm going to click on return to eligibility. As you see, it takes me here. So I want to go back to my contacts page. Let's say I want to make an adjustment to that student's name or birthday. So I'm going to click on the college profile button. Click on contacts. And then from here, I'm going to click on students. So when I get here, I'm going to click on their name. And it's going to take me to this page. Now I have to go to that students tab for me to get this particular profile page. If you notice from the one earlier, it's giving me different personal details information. So if I need to make an adjustment to their name, I click the pencil icon right next to their name to where I have them fake 16 for their last name. Let's make it fake 167. And then from there, July 1. I can click Save and Close. And then I'll update there. If I need to make an adjustment to the date of birth, I come here to Personal Details, and I click the pencil icon here. To where I can make an adjustment to the date of birth right here. And let's go back a month. And I made the adjustment there. Also, if you notice, this is the same information that was there for the demographic page. So I can make adjustments to that as well. I can click on Save. Now, if I need to make adjustment to their email, I can do that on this page as well, where I'd scroll down to Address. I can click on this pencil icon. If I scroll down before the address information, I can find the email here. I can make that adjustment. And then from there, I would click on Save and Close. Now keep in mind, now I'll be making a change to their email, but it would not update the username. If you need an update to their username, please reach out to me and I can do so. So I'm going to answer a few questions. So if we have 2 designated reps as ADs, can the second one sign off in the president's role? You can do that. That's where you would just give them the role of president and they'd be able to do that signing for you. For former student athletes, I'm assuming you're talking about removing them. I'll get that in just a second. For can it auto-populate the member college field? As of right now, you just need to start typing it in and it will just show on the drop-down. The only time it auto-populates would be for that staff account. I had a question about, is there a step-by-step written out for everything that we'll need to do in Connect? That will be located under the My Resources page. And I'll show that again at the end, but that will give you your step-by-steps, your job aids, and video tutorials. The other question, if you are logged into your school account, we will look into it possibly auto-populating for creating student accounts, but as of right now, it will just show on the drop-down. We will look into if student information and account from an LOI be available on the eligibility site. Right now, they'd be available on the 2 separate sites, and I'll explain to that when I get to those pages.
Michael?
Yes, Wanda.
They can still have student athletes create their own account as well also? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. And I'll be showing that in a minute as well.
Thank you.
And Michael, this is Jeff. I just wanted to throw in there, the system was originally designed for students to create their own accounts. And so, you know, as administrators, if that's the approach that you prefer to take, have at it.
Okay. So the next part is removing former students. So if you have a student that's graduated, what you can do is, I'm going to start from the beginning or from my profile to get to it, but essentially it's going back to the college profile page. So I'm clicking on my name in the top right-hand corner. And then I'm going to click on the college profile button. So I'm going to return to contacts. So what I'm doing is I'm going to change the member type again. And this is just for students. So when you're doing this, you can either find their name under all contacts or students. Both of those profiles will give you the chance to change the member type. So I'm going to click on fake 167. So when I scroll down here, you can see the permissions. I'll click on this pencil icon. And I will click on student athlete, and I can click on former student. And then I can click save. And what that does, it will move the student from showing up on the eligibility page, that student list. It will also remove it from the student list under contacts, but they'll still be appearing under the all contacts list. Now, you can also remove them by clicking on, like we did with the staff accounts, the pencil icon, and removing the primary organization. I'm going to leave this student here so I can use them for eligibility later. I'm going to change this back to student athlete and click save. So now I'm going to show a student creating the account. So I'm going to have to sign out here. So for a student, they would come to connect.njca.org and they'll click on create account. When they do so, they're given these three options, and they'll click on student athlete. And then they'll click on click here. So it's going to take them to a page. This is very similar to the one that we're using when we're creating the student account for them as the athletic director. So I'm going to fill in the name. The member college box for them, it's going to show the list of every college. So again, these will start typing in, and then they'll select it from the dropdown. So again, I recommend that they really start typing in those names and then select it. Email will be and then set up the password. Then for them, they'll click on save, and it will take them to the demographic page to where they'll start filling out this information. Again, they can select first generation, area of study, career interest, and the sports that they are interested in. And then they can click next. Once there, they can click on here to go home. And as you see, I am signed in as that student. So again, they click on their name in the top right-hand corner. It will take them to their profile page to where they can edit that information. This is also where if they sign a letter of intent, they can view that here, and I'll demonstrate that later once we issue a letter of intent. So a few more questions. I've noticed students in the system more than once. How do we handle this? So that might have been from the initial merger of information from Connect or from MVP. If that's the case, you can send me the list of those students and I'll merge them together. In the meantime, if you want, you can remove them like we did with the, when you click on the pencil next to their name and remove the primary organization. But I would recommend probably sending me the list first, and then I'll just go ahead and merge those accounts. Can any staff add students, or does the staff have to be a specific designation? They need to be a company administrator. With that being said, the role could be athletic staff, athletic director, or president. Does the system track changes in who made them? It does. So specifically to accounts or college profile, or the college profiles, if there's a change, we would know who's the last person that made changes to it. Someone's asking if an AD can auto sign, or do they physically have to sign with a pen? So I'll show this in a little bit when we get to eligibility, but it is a signature where you would type in your name and then you would be clicking on a button to issue the document. Someone's asking if the recording of this will be available later. It will be. It will be on the same page where you first registered for this call. So the link that you clicked on to register for the Zoom webinar was, the button said register. It would simply just say video on demand. So that's where you could find the recording of this. Someone's asking if a hard copy was an option for the fall term and spring term. It will be. So you'd have the option of what I'm going to show you in a little bit, how to complete eligibility, and you'll also have the option of hard copy. Is there a way to give coaches permissions to search/view LOIs signed at other schools? Right now, they'd have to be a company administrator. So the way we demonstrated earlier, and I can show that again, when you add them as a company administrator, they have access to the college profile page. And right now, specifically with hard copy, they'd be able to, when they get on the hard copy page, it's a search tab. So for example, let me sign out here. I'm going to sign back in as the AD. Current searches for letters of intent within the Connect system. I'm going to go to the college profile page. Click on letter of intent management. And you can click on LOI search. So for coaches right now, they would have to be a company administrator to access that. Okay.
For the student accounts, Michael, will they be required to remove all former students or change them to their status to former students?
Could you ask that again? Sorry about that, Wanda.
I'm sorry. On the student athlete accounts, when the student athlete moves on, are they required to go back in and either change their status to former student or remove them from their member college?
It'd be better for putting them as a former student. It keeps the record of that within their college profile. It cleans up their contact list. when they do that. So it's, I guess, in a way up to the college, but it will definitely clean up your contact list.
Okay.
on
So not
student-
required, but recommended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone's asking if I can, could you show how to edit student account again? Yes. So I'm gonna click on the name in the top right-hand corner. Okay. Click on the button here again. And then I'm gonna click on contacts. So if I want to edit any information for a student, I primarily want to do that under the student's contact list. It just gives me a different page, and it's more beneficial for editing that information. So I'm going to go to fake 167. And so the different areas of where you can edit their information is the pencil icon here, where I can change their first and last name. And then over here, for personal details, I can click on this pencil icon, and I can edit any of the information here. This is most of the demographic information, but this is where you would be able to update or add a date of birth. And then from there, you can click on save. And then whenever you need to add or edit the email, you just come down to address, click the pencil icon, scroll down, and at the bottom is the email. So I said earlier, if you make an adjustment to this email, it does not update the username. If you need the username updated, you can reach out to me and I'll be able to change that for you. Will you be required to remove all former students? No, you will not have to. When assigning a password, can you give all student athletes the same and allow them to create their own later? Yes, you can. I personally recommend that. They can change their password. Any account can change their password by, let me hit cancel here. You go to your profile page. If you click on preferences, it'll take you to a change your password section to where you can click on this and it'll allow you to update your password. So any of those students that you've given the same password, they can go here in their profile page and make that change. We need to add esports to sports. Are we not using Connect for those student athletes? Correct.
Yeah, and Michael, this is, I'll take that one. This is Jeff. Yeah, at this time, we are not using Connect, and there are no plans in the foreseeable future to use Connect for esports.
Question, is there going to be a direct manual for the NJCAA Connect on step-by-steps? Again, those will be located under, if you hover over membership and click on my resources, these pages will give you a video tutorial, screenshot step-by-step version, and then a written step-by-step. And then below gives you those step-by-steps for that same procedure.
And Michael, I just wanted to throw out there, we made this offer to at a board meeting, and so hopefully each of you have heard it through your representative. Michael has been offering focus groups to each region, the opportunity for up to 10 schools from each region to participate in a focus group. So if you have process improvement ideas, questions, if there's additional resources that you think would be helpful, please don't hold back. We have, as you can see from this resources page, Michael has spent a considerable amount of time identifying all the key processes and creating as best we can step-by-step how-to guides. If there are other resources and materials that you think would be helpful, and as each of you already knows, if it helps you, it's likely to help several other people. Please don't hold back on sharing those.
And answer a few more questions. Is there a how-to video for student athletes can access to help them setting up their account? That is also located on here. Students create account. If student athletes don't need to sign for eligibility, is the only time they log in to connect for signing LOIs. As of right now, yes, and for setting up their account to making sure the demographic information is correct. When is the best time for students to create their account? Time of LOI signings on campus.
No, I think that's really, and Brian Beck or Wanda, if you want to chime in here, but it seems, I think at their earliest convenience would really be the recommendation, but certainly if they can do it prior to the signing of an LOI, that would be best. But again, Brian and Wanda, I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
I agree with you, Jeff. The sooner the better, but definitely prior to signing an LOI.
Is there a way to multi-select student athletes to remove them or change their status to users, or have to go into each individual student athlete's account? You'll have to go to each individual student account to update their status.
But that's a good question, and that's one of those possible process improvements to see if we can do things via batch. So we will absolutely make note of that and see if there are some batching options available.
So now I'm going to go over eligibility. So essentially, I'm going to start from creating a roster, adding the students to the roster, and then signing off on it. So the way to get to that eligibility page is you're going to hover over eligibility, and you're going to click on eligibility on the dropdown. From there, you'll click on review eligibility. So on this page, you have 4 different boxes. You have unsigned original roster, signed original roster, unsigned supplemental roster, and then signed supplemental roster. You can open up these boxes by clicking on them. You see I have 1 signed roster. So the next step is I have to create a sport roster or sport header. The way to do that is I'm going to click on Add/Edit Sports Season. When I do that, it takes me to this page. This page will show any of the sports seasons I've created. To edit any of them, I can click on this pencil icon. But since I want to add a new one, I'm going to come up here to the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to click on Add. When I do that, it takes me to this page. So the information here from supplemental submission all the way up to sport are very crucial. So for example, I want to make sure I select the correct sport, and I'm going to go with men's golf. Select the division. I'm going to go with Division 1. And then I'm going to select the term. I'm going to select fall 2020 semester. So well, the term's very important. If you accidentally select fall 2020 quarter and you're trying to add your students to that particular roster, but for the students, you select semester, the students will not show up under that roster. But I'm gonna go ahead and select fall 2020 semester. So next you would select original or supplemental submission. If you do not select that, it will not show up on that main page. So what I mean by that, I'm just going to go ahead and click Save and Close. I'm going to leave that part blank. So as you see, it still generates here, but if I hit this X button, I'm going to refresh my page. I come to Unsigned Original Roster, and it's not showing. The reason why is because I haven't assigned it to being under Original or Supplemental. So if I go back to edit/add sports season, and I click on the pencil icon next to men's golf again, I'll select Original Submission. I'm going to add these dates. And then I'm going to click Save and Close. And then from there, as you see, it populates here. Yet again, if I ever need to edit that information, I can click on the pencil icon. I'm going to click on the X button up here. I'm going to refresh my page. I go to Unsigned Original Roster, and now Fall 2020 Semester Men's Golf appears. Now, if I wanted to, like I mentioned earlier, if I was filling out the terms and I put them in wrong, either I put it in wrong for the roster, so when I was assigning the students to that roster, they're not going to show. It will populate like this. So I'm clicking on Preview/Sign Roster, and essentially it's going to show me a blank gray page. Whenever you get that page, all it means is that the system is not recognizing any students to that roster. So that's where the terms might be incorrect. Same thing could be said on the other side, where you may have gotten the term wrong for a student where you know they're eligible, but they're not showing. So if you ever come across an issue like that, I always recommend checking the terms first. So I'm going to go back to eligibility. On review eligibility. So I want to add students to Fall 2020 Semester Men's Golf. So I'm going to come down here. You see, I already have some students listed. So I'm going to add Fake 16 or Fake 167 to Men's Golf. So I click on their name, and it's going to take me to this profile page. So first thing I need to do is I need to fill out the student athlete information. So essentially it's their high school information. So their education type, I'm going to select high school, graduation date, the high school name, the high school city, and then the high school state. Initial college enrollment, and then if they're a transfer, you can select that there. So from this information, for me to save it, I have to scroll to the bottom here and click Save. But once you do that, that high school information does not need to be filled out again. It only has to be filled out once for that student. Now, if you need to make an edit, you can do that. And yet again, you'd click on Save to save that information. Now, academic information, I can put that in here. So I'm going to click Add. Academic term, I want to make sure I'm selecting the same term that was selected for that sports header. So I'm going to select Fall 2020 Semester. The sport is men's golf. Roster type, it's an original roster. So for this student, I'm going to do first season participation. Current term is 12, or hours registered for the current term. For this one, I'm going to leave the full-time term previously enrolled as 0. So the previous full-time hours earned is 0. Full-time GPA is 0. Cumulative hours is 0. And cumulative GPA will be 0. So I'm going to hit Save and Close. The information will populate here. Again, If you need to make an edit to this, you can do that here, and it will populate this page for you as you filled out earlier. Now, once you complete this information, I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to click Go Back to Eligibility. Now, as you see, Fake 167 is now eligible, and their eligibility sport is men's golf. Now, your list would be much longer than this. If you ever need to search for a student, you can do so here. If you ever want to sort this outside of by name, you can click on either eligibility sport, and we'll sort it. It will first sort the blank ones, and then it will go into sorting by sport. If you click on this arrow, it will essentially flip it. Same thing with anything with status. You can do that as well. Or you do sports interest. Sports interest is a sport that was selected when you're creating the student account on that demographic page. So I want to build out this roster more, but let's say the next student I have does not have an account yet. So like I showed earlier, you can click on student does not exist. I'll click on create account. Takes me back to this page. So I'm filling out the first name, the last name, member college. I'll select this from the dropdown, put in their email. And then I'll put in their password. And then I can click save. So back to the demographic information. So I'll fill in the gender, date of birth, country. Again, first generation college student, you can select this interested area of study, career interest. Like I said earlier, with that far part of the eligibility list, it will allow you to select the sport that they're interested in. So I'm going to click next. Click return to eligibility. Takes me back to this page. I'm going to scroll down, student account 56. Click on their name. Again, have to fill out college information. If you don't fill out the, or high school information, if you don't fill out the high school information, the student will be automatically deemed as ineligible. And then from there, I can click save there. So I'm going to come back to academic information, and I'm going to click add. So again, I want to make sure I'm selecting fall 2020 semester. The sport is men's golf. The roster type is original. So for this student, I'm going to do first season participation. The hours registered for current term is going to be 15. And then I'm going to have 5 full-time terms previously enrolled. I'm going to have 10 full-time terms hours. Previous full-time GPA is going to be 2.0. And then cumulative hours earned is 40. And the cumulative GPA is going to be a 2.5. So for this person, I'm also going to use the total accumulation exception. So I'm going to click Save and Close. And you'd see this one more for this one would be, so for this one, I go to exceptions and notes, I click add, and then I'm going to find total hours accumulation. And click that. If I have any notes, I can fill that in here. And then if you need more space, you have additional notes box as well. Click save and close. When you do that, this will appear. And then if you ever need to edit that information, you can click that here. It'll repopulate what you filled out. I'm going to cover documents too. So documentation, it's not required for this year, but if you click on add, it will take you to this page.
Michael, why don't we try this one again?
Okay, click X. We'll go back to eligibility.
Bear with us, folks. We're going to try to restart this. So it's 2:14. We're going to pause until 2:30 to take a look and to see if there's something going on with the vendor itself. This appears to be something larger than just the system. So again, we're going to keep this going, but we'll restart at 2:15. Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started again. Apologize for that inconvenience. And in the category of you can't make this stuff up, we were in touch with the vendor. They notified us that they could see an active attack against their server with IPs from Russia. They immediately took all of their client sites down to identify and block the IPs that were coming through. There has not been any kind of security or data breach. But again, I just wanted to share that. And I realize that in light of all of the challenges that we've all faced with Connect, each time something comes up, it feels like it's literally another nail in the coffin. But this time, it appears this was not a system issue per se, as much as it was, again, Russian IP addresses that were attempting to infiltrate the server. And so it looks like the CDC and Twitter has some company. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Michael.
Okay, so to recap of what we were attempting to do, we're just adding students to a men's golf roster. So far we have 2 in there. So I'm going to add another one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use summer student 2. So click on their name. Take me to their profile page. As you see for this account, their high school information is already filled out, so I don't have to do that again. I'm going to come down here to academic information, and I'm going to click add. When I do that, academic term is fall 2020 semester. Sport is men's golf. Roster type is original. So for this student, it's going to be first season participation. They're registered for 15 hours. Full-time terms previously enrolled is 3. Previous full-time term hours is going to be 8. Previous full-time GPA is going to be 3.0. I'm going to have 28 cumulative hours with a GPA of 2.2. And also for this student, I'm going to do the first season exemption. So I'm going to click on Save and Close. From there, I'm going to come to Exceptions and Notes and click on Add. And I'll click on First Season. Yeah, First Season Accumulation. And then from there, if I need to add notes, I can do so. And then I'm going to click Save and Close. Now, documentation, it is not required for this year, but if you wanted to add that information, you click on Add. And when it loads like this, this is where you can click on Select and upload the documents for these specific documentations. If you did that, you'd click Save and Close, and then it would appear down here like it does for exceptions to notes. Within each upload, you can only upload 1 document, but you can do multiple submissions, theoretically. Non-participation, right now for non-participation, please keep a running list that you have that you could turn into the national office if requested until this part is completed properly. So from there, I can click on Go Back to Eligibility. And as you see, Summer Student 2 is eligible. So at this point, I have 3 students built in this roster. So if I come here, click on Fall 2020 Semester, I'm going to click on Preview/Sign Roster. And when I do that, it will upload the LOI with those 3 students. Like here. So same thing, you can click on the red Adobe box here to download and save this document or print it off. If I scroll down to the bottom, I can click on click to add signature. When I do so, it takes me to this page. And then I have to put in a date. Now, it doesn't matter what date you put in because it will actually date stamp it with the date you actually signed the document, but a date does need to in fact be put in. And then from there, you can click Save Signature. This drop down will appear, and then you can click on OK. The next page that will pop up will be the actual roster. That again, that you'd be able to download, save, and print, like so. You see the signature there. Then from there, you submitted this roster for eligibility. Now, same thing if I wanted to do a supplemental roster, it's very similar to what I did here. I'm going to go back to eligibility and click preview sign or preview eligibility. Now, one thing you notice under unsigned original roster, nothing's populating there. But if we go to signed original roster, you'll see men's golf now appears there. If I ever need to look at that roster again, I can click on view signed roster. Now I want to add a supplemental roster. I'm going to click on add/edit sports season. I'm going to come up here and click on add. So I'm going to do this for men's golf again. So I'm going to select men's golf, Division I. We'll go with fall 2020 semester. Instead of clicking on original submission, I'm going to click on supplemental submission. We'll put in the dates. And then I'm going to click Save and Close. Yet again, when doing so, it will populate here. From there, I can click X. I'm going to refresh my page. I'm going to open up the unsigned supplemental roster form, and you see it here. So I'm going to add 1 student to this. Let's do summer student 3. So I'm clicking on their name, and then it'll take me here. Again, I've already had the education information filled out, so I don't have to do that again. But I'm going to come to academic information. I'm going to click Add. So academic term, fall 2020 semester. Sport is men's golf. Roster type, this is where I'm going to select supplemental. For this student, I'm going to do second season participation. I'm going to have 13 hours registered for the current term. Previous or full-time previous enrollment is going to be 3. Previous full-time hours earned is going to be 11. Previous full-time GPA is 2.0. Cumulative hours earned is 36. And then the cumulative GPA is a 2.0. No exceptions needed for this student as they're eligible as they have 3 previous terms and 36 credits at a 2.0 GPA. So I'll click Save and Close. Your information will pop here. Then I'm going to click Go Back to Eligibility. Once I do that, you see summer student 3 is eligible. Now, theoretically, if I was ready to sign the supplemental roster, I'm going to click here. I'm going to click on Preview/Sign Roster, similar like what we did with original roster. It'll populate here. I'm going to scroll down, click to add signature. From there, I'm going to fill in the signature box. And then again, I have to put in a date. Doesn't matter what date, it will timestamp it with the correct date of me signing it, but a date does in fact need to be put in. And then I'm going to click on Save Signature. This drop down will appear, and I'll click on OK. And then from there, I'm going to go back to eligibility. I click on Sign Supplemental Roster. It'll appear here. So again, just recapping eligibility, the key is to make sure that those terms are correct, and specifically with the rosters, when you're building them, that you select the correct term, and then also if it's original or supplemental. So next, I'm going to move on to letters of intent.
And Mike, as you're doing that, I just want to say to the group, we've got a lot of questions that have come in. Rest assured, we've set aside some time at the end to answer questions. And Michael's also going to go back and show you the resources page again one last time.
So I'm going to start on the main page. So to access the letter of intent, and just to let everyone know, this part will not go live until November 1st. But this is what essentially it's going to look like. I'm going to hover over eligibility, and I'm going to click on letter of intent management. So this is essentially your main letter of intent page. Unissued letter of intent, what exactly does that mean? So if you are creating an LOI and at the end, instead of signing and issue it, you decide to click on Save and Finish Later, this is where any saved and finished later letters of intent will appear. It will appear down here. If you have a good amount of them, you'd be able to search them up here. So back when we were creating those staff accounts where I was talking about roles, where someone has the role of athletic staff, if they're creating the letters of intent, they will not be able to sign off on it. They'd have the option of only clicking on Save and Finish Later. When they do that, those LOIs will appear here. So I want to go and create a letter of intent. So how will I do that? I will click on Add New Letter of Intent, and it'll take me to this page. So you're going to have your Find Previously Signed Student Athletes. So if I signed an LOI last year, theoretically they would appear in this search box. Now, because we haven't used this system last year, you're not going to have any students appearing here. So that not until a year from now is when you'll be able to see previously signed student athletes there. What you're going to use most of the time is Find Unsigned Student Athletes. So what this means is you're going to be searching for any student that's not assigned to a college. So for example, I'm just going to put in fake, and you'll see any account that's been created with the name fake that isn't assigned to a college. So if I'm trying to sign a student athlete and I know they don't have an account yet, you can create one for them. They can create one as well, but you can create one for them as well. So what we'll do is we'll click on under Student Does Not Exist, Create Student Account. Now this student account page is going to look a little bit different than what it was for eligibility. One of the big differences is that the member college box is not there. The reason why is because you're not assigning them to your college because they're not yet tied to your school yet. So I'm going to create this account. I'm putting in the first name, last name, and the email. I'm just saving this for later, and I'll explain why in a second. If you know the address, you can fill that in. But I'm going to essentially click on Save. Also, you notice it doesn't take me to a demographic information page. Since you're not yet technically your student, that information does not need to be filled in yet. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to search for them. So you see another July fake 16. I'm going to click on their name, and it's going to take me to this page. So on this page, on the sports dropdown, you see it's only listing 4 sports. That is because it is pulling it off my divisional commitment. So it's not going to give you the full list of every NJCAA sport. For this LOI, I'm going to click on men's baseball. And then the school year, right now you only have one option. And then I'm going to click on next. On this page, this is where you can add the scholarship. So I'm going to click on Add Scholarship, and it's going to populate this page. I'm going to select spring, and let's do an addendum and room and board. You can add your notes. And then you can click Save and Close. If you need to edit this information, again, you can click on this pencil icon. From there, you can click on Next. So since I'm in the AD, the page is going to populate like this for me, to where I can see the information here. I can also sign. If I wanted to save and finish later, I can click this button here, in which that would make it the LOI populate on that first page that I mentioned earlier. But I'm going to go ahead and sign and issue this letter of intent. When I click on that, this drop down will appear, and I'll click on OK. The LOI will appear here. You can see the information I put in. And then you can also see that it's been signed. Now, where to view your created LOIs? I'm going to go back to Letter of Intent Management. And I'm going to click on View My College's Letter of Intent, All Statuses. So I come here, and you see the created LOI. If you have a long list, you can use this search box to find them. Also, you'll notice that the status says issued. If you have signed and issued the letter of intent to where it's now gone to the student, that status is going to say issued. If the student signs it, that status is going to change to unsigned pending. And then when the president signs it, it's going to change to signed. Now, if I need to, or for example, if you sign an LOI to a student, they've received multiple offers, and they sign with another school, this status is going to change to unrecruitable. So I want to add more information to this LOI. I can do so by coming to this page and clicking on View Letter of Intent. As you see, it repopulates LOI. Again, I can click on the red Adobe logo to download, save it, or print it. If I scroll down, I'm going to come across this Add button. I'm going to click on Add, and if you remember, this page pops up. Also, side note, you can always expand or make these smaller, like so. But I'm going to click on Winner, and let's add tuition course related fees up to. Scroll down and scholarship details. So from there, I can click on Save and Close. It will appear here. Same thing. I click on the pencil icon. I can edit that information. If I'm ready to add this to my created LOI, all I have to do is click on Add Additional Benefits. This will populate, and I'll click on OK. And then from there, it's going to repopulate the LOI with the additional benefits. So now I need my student to sign it. So I'm going to show you what a student would do when they're trying to sign it. So if you noticed, when I created that page or that student account, there's no mention of a username and password. So a student that had an account created for a letter of intent, they will have to access, or they'll have to sign into their account the first time like a staff member would. So I'd be clicking on that forgot username, forgot password. So let me sign out. And this is going to take me a second. I'm going to click on sign in. So I'm going to click on forgot username. And I'm going to put in the email of that account. And I'm going to click on submit. Click close. And then same thing, I'm going to click on forgot password. Put in the email and click submit. Now I'm going to click close. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put in, I'm just accessing the fake email. So I come here to the email, it's going to give me this link. So I click on that. When I click on that link to change the password, it's going to send me here. So new password. And I'll click submit. So now I'm going to sign back in, or sign in for the first time as this student account. So now I've signed in as a student and I'm wanting to access my letter of intent and sign it. So what they would do is they're going to click on their name in the top right-hand corner. So I'm on the student's profile page. They can come down here and make the adjustments to their demographic information by clicking on the pencil icon. But I'm going to go ahead and click on my letter of intent. When I do so, my letter of intent is going to appear here. As you see, the status right now says issued, but I'm going to click on view offer letter. When I click on that, it's going to populate the LOI, to which they can click on the pencil or it's on the red Adobe logo and download it, save it, print it. If they want to sign it, they're going to scroll to the bottom. And then they're going to sign it. They have to have the parent signature. And then from there, they'll click accept. This will populate and they'll click on OK. When they do so, these buttons will appear, to which they can click on return to home or return to my account. So I'm returning to my account. I'm going to click on letter of intent. And as you see, it now says accepted letter of intent. They can click on here to open up their LOI. And the note now says unsigned pending. So now the third signature would be the athletic director. So let me sign out, and then I'm going to sign into my athletic director account.
So Mike, while you're doing that, I just wanted to make a brief announcement to everybody. The questions are flying in, which is great. In the interest of making sure we have fully developed answers for everyone, here's what we're going to do. Rather than trying to go through each one of these individually at the end of this, we have a running log of all of the questions. We're going to take all of those, provide them the answers to those in an FAQ that will be posted on the resource page. We'll be sure to announce when that comes out, but we just want to make sure that we can get question or answers to all the questions. Some of them are very specific to your institution, and in those instances, someone from our office, likely Michael Orokos, will reach out to you to talk about your specific issue. But for any sort of general topical type questions, we'll get all those answered and posted in the resources area.
Okay, so the president needs to sign my letter of intent. So I'm gonna hover over eligibility and click on letter of intent management. Now, the key difference here compared to the athletic director account and the president account is that there's now a pending president signature box. I'm gonna click on that. So again, if you have a decent amount of letter of intents that need to be signed for your president, they're gonna appear here to where you could use the search box here to find a specific one. But either way, what I'll do is I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna click on sign letter of intent. I'm going to sign it here. And then I'm gonna click on sign letter of intent. And then I can return the letter of intent management home. And if I go back to view my college's letter of intent, all statuses, you'll see that it now says signed for the status. And so another thing I wanted to mention is that look for an update on virtual office hours that we'll be doing. That will be located under the My Resources page. Essentially, somewhere on this page, most likely up top, there'll be a link to either Zoom or just another virtual call to where if you need me from, for example, I'll probably be available from 10 to 3 on certain given days, and that schedule will be on here as well. You can go to that link and you'll be able to talk to me like a one-on-one. Now there might be multiple people in there, so when you first get in, it may take a few minutes until it'll be your turn to speak or to ask your question. If we're doing those hours and you have something very specific, what we could end up doing where it involves me looking at your screen, we'll set up a call at another time to where we can do a screen share. But from that, that covers everything that I'm going to go over and connect. Jeff, is there anything else you'd like me to cover with any specific questions, or we're just going to continue with?
No, as I said, there are so many questions, and we want to make sure that we give due attention to each of those. And so I really think the best way to go about doing that is to address them in a frequently asked question FAQ list that'll be posted here exactly on the page that Michael has listed now on this resources page. And so the other item that I want to throw out, and I know Michael just mentioned this, and some of you have heard me say this repeatedly, your participation and feedback is critical. Despite the issue that we experienced at around 2:14 with the Russian probe, today I hope that each of you saw that generally speaking, this system performs at a level that is substantially better than what it did this time a year ago. We continue to work with the vendors to make process improvements. There have been lots of comments about batching, labels, and we love that. This is your product. We want to make sure this product works for you. And so please contact Michael directly. His email is morokos, that's MOROKOS @njcaa.org. Please also work through your Board of Regents representative or anyone else in the regional leadership. If your region is interested in any kind of focus group, individual training that we can do to assist you and to improve this product and this experience for everyone, we are fully committed to. And so, Michael, anything else that you want to add?
If there's ever a time, I've been doing a lot of one-on-one Zoom calls. If that's something that you'd like to be a part of, just reach out to me, and we can do that. We can go through anything you'd like on Connect. I find those to be very helpful from the standpoint that I can share my screen, show you what I'm trying to accomplish, and if you're having any issues, I can have it where you can share your screen and I can see exactly what you're seeing in real time. So a lot of times I can see exactly what's going on, what issues might be happening, and just makes that process a little bit easier.
Thanks, Michael. Great job running through all this with the membership. And then I'll just make one last comment. I know Michael just mentioned this as well. We've got Michael's going to be hosting open office hours, essentially, so you'll be able to log into those office hours and schedule specific time. And we've seen lots of questions come in regarding whose responsibility is it to create accounts? Should we be deleting accounts? What should we be doing with the accounts? So on and so forth. We're going to get all the answers to these questions and get them posted in very short order. And once we have that done, we will send them to you electronically and they will be posted on the website. And so we will keep the chat open for another 10 to 15 minutes. We'll keep this going. So if you have questions, please type them in. We want to make sure that we have a running log of all of those. And at about 3:15, we will close it down unless questions keep pouring in. But that concludes today's Connect demonstration. Brian, Beck, or Wanda, I don't know if you're still on, or if Mackenzie, if there's anything that that you guys want to say, or any other additional closing comments. I think Michael and I are finished.
I just wanted to note, because there were questions about this, I just wanted to clarify that the LOI system that was just demonstrated is to be used for the 21-22 LOIs. So continue to use the current hard copy system that we're using for 2021. We had questions if you had to recreate your 2021 LOIs. No, you do not. We will continue to use the current hard copy system for 2021. And then when we start signing for 21-22, we will use the automated system that Michael just demonstrated.